What would you do if your family disowned you the same night you graduated, just because of how you looked? My name is Harper Bailey. I'm 28 years old, and 10 years ago I walked across the stage to receive my high school diploma, only to walk straight out of my family's life. They called me the ugly duckling. That night, my parents told me I was an embarrassment to the Bailey name. Last week, I got an invitation to my 10-year high school reunion, followed by something I never expected, an email from my estranged family. They don't know I'm no longer the girl they threw away, and they have no idea what I've become. But before I tell you what happened at that reunion, let me take you back to where it all began. Wellesley, Massachusetts, a rich, picture perfect suburb outside Boston, where looks mattered more than love. We lived in a massive colonial style house with perfect green lawns and shiny black SUVs in the driveway. But inside, life wasn't perfect. It was cold, strict, and obsessed with beauty. My mother, Kimberly Bailey, was once a beauty pageant runner up in Massachusetts. She never stopped trying to win that crown. Her life was all about skincare, diets, and keeping up appearances. She woke up at 5 a.m. every day to do her beauty routine, like it was her religion. Her bathroom looked like a mini Sephora, with rows of labeled shelves, summer serums, winter creams, anti aging masks. Missing a nail appointment was a sin. And if you made her late for her blow dry, you might as well leave the house. My father, Richard Bailey, was a celebrity attorney. He cared less about hair and makeup, but even more about status. Baileys present themselves with excellence, he'd say before we left the house. He wore suits even to family brunch, and his cologne closet probably cost more than someone's rent. And then there was my sister, Madison. She was 3 years older than me, tall, blonde, and glowing with confidence. She had our mom's cheekbones, our dad's icy blue eyes, and every beauty award a girl could win. Cheer captain, prom queen, teen modeling contracts, you name it. People would stop my parents in the street and say, she should be on TV. And then there was me. While Madison was modeling at 14, I was fighting severe acne and adjusting my third set of braces. I was always a little chubby. My mom liked to call it pleasantly plump. I didn't fit their image of a perfect Bailey girl. At breakfast, my mom would look at me like I was a problem to be fixed. Did you use that special face wash? She'd ask. If you just cut out dairy, your skin would clear up. She left diet charts on my desk and brochures for cosmetic surgery on my bed like they were gifts. When I turned 16, I hoped for a new laptop to help with coding, a hobby I had secretly fallen in love with. But instead, I got an envelope. Inside was a gift certificate to a plastic surgeon. Surprise, my mom beamed. He did Aunt Carol's eyes. No one even noticed. Madison laughed and said, maybe you'll get a prom date this year. I stared at the envelope as my eyes filled with tears. I don't want surgery, I whispered. My dad frowned. This is for your future, Harper. People judge by appearance, especially for girls. But I'm only 16. Exactly, my mom nodded. It's the perfect time to fix that nose. Maybe the chin too. I locked myself in the bathroom and cried. That night, I started a blog. A secret place where I didn't have to be beautiful. A place where my brain mattered, not my face. I called it codeandcourage.com. What my family didn't know was that my awkward little blog would one day grow into something big. But for now, it was my hiding place, my escape. My only real support came from Mr. Wilson, my high school science teacher. He saw what my family refused to see. You have an incredible mind, he told me, after I asked another exam. Ever thought about computer science? You have a gift. I clung to his words like a life raft. At home, I was the ugly daughter, but in Mr. Wilson's class, I was brilliant. While Madison worked on her abs and hair extensions, I was teaching myself JavaScript, Python, and C++. I built apps, websites, and even small games, all in secret. MIT became my dream, not just for its world-class computer science program, but because it was far away from my family. I studied late into the night, coding until my fingers hurt. I didn't go to parties, I didn't go to prom, I just worked. Then came graduation night, the moment everything broke. I wore a simple blue dress and minimal makeup. My acne had flared up again, and my mom looked horrified. I told you not to eat pizza this week, she hissed. You're going to ruin the photos. When I walked across the stage, I expected at least a smile from my parents. Nothing. After the ceremony, we got home, and my dad said we need to talk. What followed felt like a slap. We've decided it's best if you live elsewhere after summer, he said. You've made it clear you won't listen to us. You won't fix yourself, my mom added. We're tired of being embarrassed. And just like that, I was disowned. My graduation night ended with me sitting on the front porch, suitcase in hand, while Madison posted selfies from the after party. But I didn't break. I went to MIT on scholarship. I built my blog into a company. And now 10 years later, I'm the CEO of a tech firm valued at $80 million. And last week I received two things: an invitation to my high school reunion, an email from my family asking if I'd be attending. They have no idea who I've become. And at that reunion, I was about to show them.
10 years ago, I was called the ugly duckling at graduation. Now I was walking into my high school reunion as a woman they could barely recognize. I stood outside the grand ballroom of the Wellesley Country Club, invitation in hand. A sleek black dress hugged my curves, tailored to perfection. My skin was clear, my smile calm, and my long dark hair framed my face just the way I liked it. Natural, confident, unapologetically me. I wasn't hiding anymore. Not behind acne, not behind insecurity, and definitely not behind their expectations. I took a deep breath and walked in. The room was filled with familiar faces, older but still wearing the same fake smiles, the same hungry eyes. It was like nothing had changed, except me. 3 months earlier, when I first got the reunion invitation, I almost threw it away. Why would I go back? Back to the people who laughed at me, ignored me, whispered cruel things about my face and body. Back to the classmates who let Brooke Henderson and her little gang play Harper Makeover every week by my locker, loudly suggesting what surgeries I needed. But something in me paused, not because I needed revenge, but because I had something to say without even speaking. I wanted them to see that the girl they called a waste of potential was now leading one of the fastest growing AI companies in the US. I didn't need to flaunt wealth. I didn't even want to show off. I just wanted to stand there in my truth and let them feel the weight of everything they missed.
In the weeks leading up to the reunion, I kept things quiet. No big Instagram post, no expensive red carpet photos. But I did have help. My best friend and COO, Delaney Cruz, insisted I get a custom dress from a Boston-based designer we had partnered with for an event. She said, not because you need to prove anything, Harper, but because you deserve to feel as strong on the outside as you are on the inside. So I let her style me, and when I looked in the mirror that night, it wasn't the girl from Wellesley staring back, it was the woman who rebuilt her life from scratch. Back at the reunion, I moved through the crowd slowly, taking in the small gasps and awkward double takes. People whispered, a few jaws dropped. I could hear them. Wait, is that Harper Bailey? No way, she looks incredible. Did she get surgery? Wasn't she like super nerdy back then? I smiled to myself. The girl they mocked for her acne, weight, and braces had become the woman they couldn't stop staring at. I grabbed a glass of sparkling water and found a quiet spot by the window, watching the night unfold. Then I saw Madison. She was across the room, surrounded by her old cheer squad and a few former football players. She looked tired. Still pretty. Yes, but it was the kind of beauty that tried too hard. She wore a tight designer dress, heels too high to walk in comfortably, and that same old smug smile. When her eyes landed on me, something flickered across her face. Recognition, then shock, then insecurity. She made her way toward me. Harper, she said, her voice a little too high. Hi, Madison, I said calmly, holding her gaze. Oh my God, you look different. She laughed nervously, like really different. I raised an eyebrow. I guess 10 years does that. There was an awkward pause. Then came the question I was expecting. So what are you up to these days? I didn't answer right away because she wasn't really asking. She was trying to measure me, compare me. I let the silence stretch. Then I said it casually, like I was talking about the weather. I run a tech company, AI software and research. We recently crossed the $80 million valuation mark. Madison blinked. Wait, what? A company, I repeated, sipping my drink. It started as a blog in high school. You know, the one I used to work on late at night while you were out partying. I didn't say it to be cruel. I said it because it was true. Her mouth opened, then closed. Before she could respond, someone else walked over. Brooke Henderson. Oh my God, Harper. Brooke's tone was fake sweet, the kind that made my stomach turn. You look amazing. I almost didn't recognize you. I tilted my head. Really, I've always looked like me. Her smile faltered. Then she did what people like her always do when they feel small. They tried to make someone else feel smaller. So who did your work? She asked, her voice syrupy. You know, your nose, skin, maybe jawline. I stared at her, calm and clear. My work, I asked. Oh, come on, she giggled. Don't be shy. We're all adults now. I leaned in slightly. It's called time, hard work, and therapy, I said softly. You should try it. And then I walked away. I didn't come to fight. I didn't come to win anything. I came to reclaim my place in a world that once told me I wasn't enough. And in that moment, I felt light, free, until I saw someone else, my mother, Kimberly Bailey, standing by the bar, drink in hand, talking to a family friend. She looked exactly the same, perfect hair, tight smile, flawless makeup. But her eyes were scanning the room, searching. And when she saw me, she froze. Her glass trembled slightly in her hand. She turned to say something to the woman next to her, who immediately glanced my way. Then slowly she started walking toward me. My heart beat faster. We hadn't spoken in 10 years. Not after she told me I was no longer part of this family for refusing the surgery. And now, here she was, approaching me like a stranger, walking into traffic. Harper, she said quietly. Hello, mother, I replied. She blinked, clearly surprised by my calm tone. You look, she started, but her words trailed off. I look fine, I said.
I always did, you just didn't see it. Her eyes glistened, but I couldn't tell if it was pride, shame, or guilt. Can we talk? She asked. I looked at her, then at the ballroom full of people who once judged me, and then I said, we can talk. But not here, and not if you're still pretending you did nothing wrong. She opened her mouth again, but I was already turning away, because I came here to stand tall, not to beg for acceptance, and I wasn't finished yet. I always dreamed of hearing my mother say, I'm sorry, but not like this, not at my high school reunion, not after 10 years of silence, and definitely not after I had to become someone else to be seen. After our brief, icy exchange in the ballroom, I stepped outside for some air. The cool breeze of the Massachusetts evening brushed against my skin, grounding me. I leaned on the balcony railing and stared at the dark treetops surrounding the Wellesley Country Club. And then I heard footsteps behind me. I didn't turn around. I didn't expect to see you here, my mother's voice said softly. I'm sure you didn't, I replied. There was a long pause, the kind filled with everything unsaid over the last 10 years. You've changed, she finally said. I turned to face her. No, I've grown. There's a difference. She looked thinner than I remembered, older, but still perfectly made up. Her lips were lined, her nails flawless. She looked like a woman who hadn't missed a hair appointment in a decade. But her eyes looked tired. I came to see you, she said. Not just for the reunion. I wanted to talk. You could have done that any time in the last 10 years. She blinked but didn't deny it. I know, she whispered. And I'm sorry. That word, sorry. It landed with a dull thud, like a stone skipping once before sinking. I was wrong, she added. We were all wrong. I crossed my arms. Wrong about what exactly? I asked. About calling me ugly? About offering me plastic surgery for my 16th birthday? Or about kicking me out the night I graduated high school because I wouldn't fit your image? She winced. We thought we were helping. No, I snapped. You were trying to erase me. Every pimple, every curve, every part of me that didn't match Madison. You tried to fix it like it was broken. She went quiet, and for a second I thought she might walk away. But then she said something that made my stomach turn. We were proud of you when we saw that Forbes article. My blood ran cold. So that's what this was about. You didn't come here for me, I said, my voice shaking with disappointment. You came because I'm successful now. She hesitated. That's not fair. No, what's not fair is you ignoring my graduation from MIT, my startup launch, my first $1 million deal. You had 10 years to reach out. But suddenly, now that I'm on a 30 under 30 list, you remember I exist. She stepped closer. Harper, we're still your family. No, I said firmly. Family doesn't throw you out like trash for not being beautiful enough. You only reached out after the world started clapping for me. I could see it then. The real reason behind that invitation. The forced email. The suddenly warm smiles from people who once laughed behind my back. It wasn't love, it was interest. It was opportunity. I'm not going to sponsor anyone's lifestyle, I said coldly. If that's why you're here, save it. Tears filled her eyes, and for a brief moment I almost softened. But then she said the one thing that shut my heart again. Your sister's struggling. She could use your help. I laughed out loud. A dry, bitter laugh that felt like it had been building for 10 years. Madison? The same sister who led the Harper Needs a Nose Job campaign at school? The one who used to call me Frankenstein behind my back? She made mistakes, my mother whispered. We all did. I shook my head. No, she didn't make mistakes. She made choices. You all did. And then I told her the truth. While Madison was winning beauty pageants, I was eating lunch alone in the computer lab. While you were paying for her lip fillers and facials, I was teaching myself to code. Alone, with no support, no love. My voice cracked. I built something from nothing, and now that it's worth something, you come back. She finally broke. Tears rolled down her cheeks. I was scared, she whispered. You were always different, Harper, and I didn't know how to love different. I'm so sorry. This time, the words were softer, raw, and something inside me shifted. Not forgiveness, not yet, but understanding. I don't hate you, I said quietly. She looked surprised. I don't even want revenge. I just wanted you to see me. And then I turned to walk away. I see you now, she called after me. But I didn't stop, because I'd already spent half my life waiting to be seen. And now, I didn't need her to see me. I saw myself.
Back inside the ballroom, something else was waiting for me. A familiar face. Mr. Wilson, my old science teacher. He smiled when he saw me and opened his arms for a hug. Harper Bailey, he said with pride. I knew you'd do something extraordinary. His words meant more than anything my mother could have said, because he saw my brilliance before it had a price tag. We sat down for a few minutes, just talking like old friends. I told him about my company, how I now run a 200-person tech firm using AI to help small businesses automate and scale. You used to write code faster than I could read it. He laughed. Still do, I smiled. Then I asked, how's the lab? The robotics program still alive? He nodded. Barely. Funding's been cut. We lost our tech grant last year. Something in my heart tugged. That lab had been my sanctuary. Mr. Wilson had been my lifeline. I made a silent decision right then. I'll fund the whole program, I said. Whatever it takes. Full scholarship for any girl interested in coding too. He looked stunned. Harper, are you serious? Dead serious. Because if I was going to give back, I'd give it where it mattered. Not to people who only saw me when I was shiny, but to the few who saw me when I was real. As the night came to a close, I stepped outside one more time. The parking lot was mostly empty. The sky was full of stars. I thought about that 16-year-old girl, the one who cried into her pillow because no one wanted to take her to prom, the one who was handed a plastic surgeon's card instead of a birthday cake. She would have never believed this moment was possible, but I did it. I made it out, I made it big, and I made it whole, and that was only the beginning. The night of the reunion was supposed to be about closure, but instead, it opened the door I wasn't sure I wanted to walk through. After my conversation with my mother, after that half-hearted apology and her confession that Madison was struggling, I thought I could leave it all behind. But trauma doesn't always knock. Sometimes it climbs into your backseat and waits until you're halfway home. That night, around 1 a.m., I got the first message, a short email with the subject line, "Please read this, Harper, it's urgent." It was from my father, a man who hadn't spoken to me since the day he handed me a plastic surgeon's business card and said, "You'll thank us one day." I stared at the screen for a long time before opening it. "Harper, I know this is unexpected, but your mother told me you came to the reunion. I heard about your company. I'm proud of what you've built, even if we never showed it. Madison is in trouble, real trouble. She's getting divorced. Her husband left her with nothing. She lost her apartment. Her car was repossessed. And the brand sponsorships dried up last year. She hasn't told many people, but she's been crashing on your cousin Tiffany's couch. I know we weren't kind, and I know we don't deserve anything from you. But she's still your sister. Please just hear her out." Dad, I read it twice, and then I closed my laptop, because I wasn't ready to go back to that world just yet. But over the next few days, the messages kept coming, from old classmates, from extended relatives I hadn't heard from in years. Apparently news traveled fast, and so did guilt, especially when money was involved. One message stood out. It was from Madison herself. Just 3 words. "Can we talk?" No explanation. No apology. Just a soft knock on a door she once slammed in my face. I ignored it at first, but something in me was restless. So I asked myself a hard question. What did I need in order to move forward? The answer wasn't revenge. It wasn't even closure. I needed the truth. I needed to see her. Not the perfect sister, not the bully in a prom dress, but the real woman underneath the layers of lip gloss, cruelty, and fake compliments. So I agreed to meet. We met at a small coffee shop in Cambridge, a quiet place far away from Wellesley. When she walked in, she looked different. Not glamorous, not polished, just tired. There were dark circles under her eyes, her hair pulled into a messy bun. She wore a hoodie 2 sizes too big, and clutched a phone with a cracked screen. "Hi," she said softly, sliding into the seat across from me. "Hi." We sat in silence for a few seconds. Then she blurted out, "You look amazing." I nodded. "I feel amazing." She looked down. "I guess you're here to gloat," she muttered. "No," I said. "I'm here to listen." And so she talked. She told me about the husband who left her for a younger woman, ironically one of her own Instagram followers. She talked about how she tried to keep up the image online. New filters, borrowed designer clothes, fake smiles at borrowed events. But behind the scenes, she was spiraling. "No one cares about beauty once the money runs out," she said, her voice flat. "You learn that fast." She tried to apply for jobs, but she didn't have a real resume. Nothing to stand on. Everything had been built on looks, attention, and her last name. "I used to think you were pathetic," she whispered. "All those nights coding in your room while I was out at parties." I stayed quiet. She wiped her eyes and said, "Turns out you were the only one building something that lasted." That confession. It didn't feel like victory. It felt like sadness. Because somewhere deep down I had still hoped that maybe, just maybe, Madison could change. And now here she was, broken. Not because life was unfair, but because she had built her identity on something fragile, and it had finally collapsed. "What do you want from me, Madison?" I asked gently. She looked up. "Help." A single word. Not dressed up. Not sugar-coated. Just help. And in that moment, I felt 2 versions of myself pulling in opposite directions. The daughter who had been humiliated and discarded by her own family, the girl who was handed a surgeon's card instead of a cake, and the woman who had built a tech empire out of that very pain, the woman who had the power now. I could walk away, no one would blame me, but then I remembered Mr. Wilson's voice. "You've always had a remarkable mind, Harper, but it's your heart that sets you apart." So I took a breath and said, "I'll help you, but not like you think." Madison looked confused. "I'm not writing a check," I said, "and I'm not bailing you out of your mess." Her shoulders sank. "But," I continued, "I'll hire you." She blinked. "What? You have social media experience, right? You know branding, content creation?" "Yeah, but I'm launching a STEM mentorship program for young women," I explained.
It needs visibility. You'll manage the public campaign videos, blogs, social content. I'll pay you a fair salary. Nothing more, nothing less. She looked stunned. I don't deserve this, she said. I leaned in. You're right, you don't. But I'm offering it anyway. She nodded slowly. I want to be better, she said. I don't want to be that girl anymore. Then show me, I replied. I stood up, grabbed my coat, and paused before walking away. Madison, yeah, this is your second chance. Don't waste it. That night, as I drove home through the dark streets of Boston, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Not anger, not bitterness, freedom, because for the first time in my life, I had given my pain a purpose, not for their sake, but for mine, and that, more than anything, made me feel powerful. A few weeks after the reunion, life moved fast. Our startup's latest funding round closed at $27 million. I was invited to speak at a Women in Tech conference in San Francisco. The team surprised me with a wall mural in our office lobby, Code and Courage, founded by Harper Bailey. It made me smile, not because of the praise or the growth or even the money, but because I built it all without their help. No beauty shortcuts, no family name, no cheerleading squad cheering me on. Just grit, late nights, and the kind of strength you only gain when the world tries to erase you and you survive anyway. And now I was building something bigger than a business. I was building a legacy. A month after our conversation in the coffee shop, Madison started her first day at the foundation. She showed up 15 minutes early, hair tied back, no makeup, holding a beat-up laptop and a nervous smile. I didn't sleep, she admitted. I thought you might change your mind. I didn't, I replied, but I will if you treat this like a favor instead of a job. She nodded quickly. I won't, and she didn't. To my surprise, Madison worked hard. She brainstormed bold campaign ideas, pitched video concepts, and even helped shoot a short documentary about a group of high school girls building a solar-powered drone. For the first time, I saw her use her voice for something beyond a selfie caption. Something real, something bigger than herself. But the real test came when we launched the Code and Courage Summer Fellowship, a fully funded program that gave 50 teenage girls from low-income areas the chance to learn coding, robotics, and digital design. The program kickoff was held at MIT, the same school that gave me a second chance at life. The same halls I once walked with my head down, hiding my acne and counting every step like it might crack the ground beneath me. Now I was returning as a keynote speaker, and Madison, she was running the press table. Life had come full circle. I stood on stage looking at a room full of bright young faces. Some wore braces, some wore hijabs, some had scars, and some had tears in their eyes already. But all of them had fire, the kind that comes from knowing the world underestimates you, and choosing to rise anyway. I spoke plainly. I'm not here today because I was born gifted, I said. I'm here because people told me I wasn't enough, and I decided to prove them wrong. They clapped and I smiled. Then I added something I hadn't planned. I was disowned by my own family the night I graduated high school, all because I didn't look the way they wanted me to. The room fell silent. But here I am, I continued. Not perfect, not polished, just powerful. And you can be too. Later that evening, while I was packing up, a girl approached me. She was about 16, short, with curly hair and a hoodie, 3 sizes too big. Her name tag read, Lena, Bronx STEM Club. Miss Harper? She asked quietly. Call me Harper. She looked down, then said, Do you ever stop feeling not enough? I knelt down slightly so I could meet her eyes. Some days I still feel that way, I said. But then I remember, I don't need to be enough for them. I need to be enough for me. She smiled for the first time. Thanks, she whispered. I believe you. As I walked out of the auditorium, Madison was waiting for me by the glass doors. I saw that, she said. That girl, Lena. I nodded. She reminded me of me. She reminded me of you too, Madison said. The version I never saw. The one I was too busy judging. I looked at her, not with bitterness but with the clarity time brings. We were kids, I said, but now we get to choose who we are. She nodded, and then to my shock, she pulled something from her tote bag, a small red envelope. What's that? It's from Mom and Dad, she said. They wanted me to give it to you. I sighed. Another apology? She shook her head. A request. Later that night, I opened the envelope. Inside was a folded letter, written in my father's handwriting. Harper, your mother and I are selling the house, the one in Wellesley. We've decided to downsize. We know we didn't give you a home when you needed it, and we can't undo the past, but we wanted you to have something, your share. Enclosed is your portion of the sale. Use it however you see fit. We're sorry for not seeing you when we had the chance. Dada. Attached was a check. A very large one. $2.1 million. I stared at it for a long time. Then I pulled out a pen and wrote a note on the back.